Okay, that sounds good. All right, and welcome everyone to today's event about L4M8. And today, instead of reviewing the past question from previous exam, then I will give you some basic instruction how to answer um, the most common topic in question number 2 of L4M8 or the question from learning outcome number 2. If you have your study guide there, or at least the syllabus, then chapter 2 is just about the application of SIP procurement cycle. But actually, then this one is pretty extensive and it covers a lot of topics. According to my own statistic and summary, then there are about 10 to 12 potential questions for this chapter 2. And it becomes kind of like pretty unpredictable for the event. Sorry, for the exam. Why in chapter 1, then normally we have a question about the SIP procurement cycle, like ask you to describe different stages. Question number 2, pretty unpredictable, and it can be any topic. Question number 3, most commonly about whole life of costing and sometimes other topic, but they tend to be not very challenging. And question number 4, mostly about ethical sourcing and the practice in ethical sourcing. So the other 3 questions are pretty predictable, and I believe that you can answer them with ease. But with question number 2, then the thing could be quite complicated because it is very unpredictable, and we have a lot of potential questions here, and some of them could be very challenging. Okay, so today that's why I cover this area before any other thing. And I know that next week you may have L4M8 exam. For some of you, some students may plan to sit the exam in November, but it's fine. Okay, so let's join to this exam. Sorry, let's join to this event and look at how you can deliver the answer. All right. Okay, so first thing, here are the topics that I will cover in this event. Okay. First, although I don't see this one come in recent exam from November until May, but it was very popular back in 2022 and 2021. The question about the role and how we can conduct all the tools for market analysis. The second question, also pretty popular in the past about tendering process. For this one, then I believe that the study guide provide pretty clear and precise instruction. The third topic, it has appeared in exam in March exam about supply identification and award. Sorry, about supply identification and supply appraisal. The fourth topic also pretty popular in the past about potential award criteria for the contract. And the fifth one, this one is pretty challenging and could be a potentially new topic. Actually, it appeared in my exam about contract implementation, and another potential topic is contract management. Previously, the most common question in question number 2 is about the different contract terms, different express contract terms, and I through my tutoring experience, then I can see that many students struggle to deliver the answer to this kind of question. And one of the change in L4M8 in this new syllabus is that they emphasize more about financial rational analysis. Although before we have the new syllabus, SIP organized multiple events and webinars on financial ratio analysis. They tend to emphasize on this. However, in 2 exams after the change in syllabus, then I don't see any of this kind of question come. However, then this still a major part of the syllabus of the study guide. So we should not ignore that. Okay, so that is an overview about some most common topics in question number 2. We may have other questions like about the role of defining needs or about the benefits of supplier relationship or about early supplier involvement and the application of early supplier involvement. Okay, but these are the most common, and also sometimes I see that students deliver pretty dissatisfied answer. So in this event, I will need to instruct you how to deliver the answer for this kind of question. Okay, so let's go into the first topic about market analysis. With market analysis, then potentially we have 2 types of question. Normally, they can ask both. First question about the benefits of market analysis, and second question about the tools in market analysis. With the first part about the benefits, then I think that you can brainstorm some ideas. Like market analysis may support us in planning the strategy for selecting supplier from the result of market analysis, like from the numbers of available suppliers in the market. Then we can decide the right type of supplier selection, like using tendering or using request for quotation, or we may engage in direct negotiation. Okay, that is first row. Second row, it may provide helpful information on pricing and support the negotiation, and the information from market analysis can be used to communicate with the stakeholder and to collaborate with them in defining needs or revisiting the specification. By that way, then we may deliver the best result and the best value for money to the organization. And for this type question, the more common question would be about different market testing or market analysis too. In the study guide, they offer more than this, but due to lack of space on my slide, then I just decide to put 6 common tools here. The thing is, these names are pretty easy to remember, and overall, then you can recall them from other modules in this level 4 diploma. We learn a lot about steeple. We learn a lot about Porter's 5 forces. They are kind of like mentioned in multi-modules like FM2, FM5, FM6, FM4, all of them. So I think that you are very familiar with them. Okay, we may consider other tools like supply demand, supply segmentation, product life cycle, or SWOT matrix. SWOT matrix. The thing is, not everyone knows to describe this thing. And when I ask the student to deliver the answer for this kind of question, then they tend to focus their effort on describing some tools. Okay, the tools that they know very specifically, like steeple or Porter's 5 forces, and their answer may include like they explain what is stipple, they just have like listing all of the stipple factors. That way of approach is not good because you may need to spend a lot of time in writing just a tool. Why you need to describe like about 4, 5, or 6 tools. Okay, depending on the requirement. Normally they may ask for 5 or they may ask like 3. So depending on the requirement, especially if they ask for multiple answers like describe or analyze 5 market analysis tools, then you need to allocate time equally to each tool. Okay, you should not spend extensive time on a particular one that you know, like Porter's five forces or steeple. By the way, then your answer for 1, 2 is very specific, very good, very detailed, very thorough. But for other tools, then it's kept like just some bullet points. That is not acceptable from the perspective of the assessor. So we need to allocate the time equally. Like you have 45 minutes for this question. So for each tool, you need to spend like 9 minutes. Okay, and you need to limit the thing that you write in a tool. Like with Stipple, you should not like just listing what are the Stipple factors, social, technological, etc. You may just describe like briefly, kind of like give some description like, Stipple is an analysis tool for macro environment. That is enough. Okay, and maybe provide like how procurement should use that. Okay, procurement may use, for example, Stipple for identification of risk in a project, or they may use Stipple in conjunction with SWOT analysis. SWOT is, as you know, the abbreviation for strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. So Stipple may be used in conjunction with SWOT, so that the organization may identify their opportunity, their threat, their strength, and weakness in a particular project. Okay, by that way, then you may deliver pretty brief answer, while you may have still have time for other two as well. Okay, and if you are a quick typer, then you may analyze about the advantages and disadvantages of each tool. Uh, okay, so let's come back to Stipple. For Stipple, then it is a macro environment analysis tool. It does not provide the information on a particular supplier, or it doesn't provide any information on micro or industry context. So every tool has some cap line, its limit. Porter five forces may be more focused on a particular industry or particular supply market, but it still does not focus on any individual supplier. Okay. Similarly, then we may have product life cycle. It may be more focused on a particular supplier, but it ignore the macro view, okay, etc. So that is some of my recommendation. Okay, this kind of question is not difficult, it's not challenging, but the thing that make it more that make it become the weakness of medicine is the way you deliver the answer. Okay, uh, it is a rule of thumb that you need to have time management strategy in the exam. Okay, should not focus on any particular question. Instead, you need to allocate the time equally. Okay, that is the bottom line here. The second topic, I think you need to know this very well about tendering process. Tendering process. Okay. When I work with other students, the one that took the exam before this one, sometimes they confuse between the stages in tendering process and the stages of SIP procurement cycle. That is what you need to avoid. In the study guide, they have very specific part, the 7 steps for tendering process. And that is very different. Actually, not that different, but still different from the procurement cycle. Why with the procurement cycle, we start with the defining needs and ends with assess measurement stage 13. Here, then we start with the selection of strategy, or you may use market analysis here, but we may start with the selection of strategy stage that is equivalent to stage number 3 in the procurement cycle. And we end at the control award. So here, just 7 steps. Okay, you may base your answer on the on SIP procurement cycle. Just to notice that it should start from stage number 3, develop strategy and plan. Okay, and ends at contract award. That is tendering. All right. So with tendering process, then first we need to identify the right type of tendering: open tendering, restricted tendering, negotiated tendering. Okay, you need to decide which one to follow. And then we develop the documentation and advertise the requirements. Then we may pre-qualify the supplier, or this is optional. It is only applicable to restricted tendering. And then we send the tender, invitation tender, and other documents to the shortlisted suppliers, or we may publish that to the portal or procurement website. Then we receive the bids and tenders, and then open them for evaluation, and then notify a winner and engage in the post-tender negotiation. Okay, about the details, then I believe that the study guide provide much better than my slide, and you may repeat that and read specifically. Okay, here, my only recommendation is that don't be confused between the tendering process and the SIP procurement cycle. Okay, the tendering process starts from stage number 3 in the procurement cycle, about develop strategy and plan, and it ends at stage number 9, about stage number 9, contract award. Okay, just remember that, and you may deliver pretty good answers to this one. The next topic about supplier identification. About supplier identification. Here, also the study guide provides some pretty good explanation here. Normally I don't remember the page, but you may find it in chapter 2. Okay, around some have about stage 4 or 5 in the study guide within the procurement cycle. Here, then the task here is to identify the suppliers that may deliver the contract to you. So we may have some sources like using the database or existing relationships, or using internet search, or go to the trade show, or contact with other buyers and receive their recommendation. Each way will have some pros and cons. So on the slide, I just briefly describe some. I just briefly describe some um, advantages and disadvantages of each method. Okay, for this one, then you may refer to the study guide. It is pretty specific and provide a lot of helpful information. Okay, another part is to apply the supplier. It is also a part of procurement cycle stage number 6 to pre-qualify the supplier. So for this one, then we need to decide the criteria and then qualify supplier based on pass-fail criteria, pass-fail method. Okay, and if the exam has a scenario, then you need to discuss the specific criteria like capability, capacity, or communication, cash, and so on. You may use Carter's 10C for this one about the selection of the criteria. I believe that for this kind of question, then there is no challenge for you. You should know it. And if you are not aware of supplier identification, then you can easily find it from study guide. Okay, that is pretty clear from that, and I think you need to visit that and read at least once. Okay, these methods are not difficult, and it could be quite helpful for you before sitting the exam. Um, this is a very common topic about the selection criteria. Recent exam, I can see that, especially from May, they have very uh, capitalized updated question with I think that it is pretty challenging. They propose a scenario and ask you to discuss about how we can select the supplier from that scenario. And the scenario is very specific with some suppliers, with some description, with some information about suppliers, and ask us to decide which supplier to go with. So with this question, then you need to decide the right selection criteria. Actually, then I think that there is no right approach, and depending on your specific circumstance, you may prioritize some criteria while ignore others. Okay. For this kind of question, then there are several scenarios. Okay. Some scenario for some questions, the assessor or the exam may ask you to propose a criteria. For other, they ask you to select the supplier based on the information they provide. So for both cases, then first thing, you need to decide the criteria. Second, you need to decide the importance and also their weight. And third, discuss how you can assess the supplier in that scenario. Okay, so for first part, you need to decide the criteria. Then here again, you may rely on Carter-Sensi model, or depending on the circumstance, then you may create or um, propose your own criteria. Normally, then we consider something like the quality, the price, the lead time, reliability, security, uh, financial rush, yeah, financial capability, communication service, etc. Um, so these are some criteria, and you may pick any of them. And then second, for each scenario, then you need to decide the importance of the criteria. For this one, it's totally up to you. as long as you may reason which criteria would be more important or which criteria would be less important. And based on your own assessment, then you may propose the weight for each criteria. Like if you focus more on the budget, then the price would be the most important criteria. It could take up like about 60 or 70% of the total score. Their weight should be 60 or 70%. For other, for example, for this particular question, then security is their chief, is their prime concern. For that case, then security would take like about 40%, then price would be like 30%, and then design quality or reliability, okay, those kind of things. So the selection criteria here is quite subjective, and as long as you may propose reasonable one, then the assessor may welcome your idea. You don't need to be perfect in this kind of question. Okay, so there's no right answer in this kind of question. You may propose any as long as you may explain the reason why you select that criteria. And for the weight or for the percentage of each criteria or about the importance of each criteria, then it's also subjective and it's up to you. As long as you can explain why you prioritize a particular criterion and not other, then you're good to go. You don't need to be perfect, or you don't need to follow anybody idea. As long as you can explain why you do that, then it's good to go. Okay. Um, Another potential topic is about contract implementation. Actually, it's kind of like very overlooked area. And I remember that it is at the start of part 2.2 in the study guide about contract award. And then within that, we have a small, very small part or very small diagram on contract implementation. Um, I don't know why they use this word contract implementation, but from study guide, I know that this question or this area is about switching from a supplier to another one. Okay, for the old supplier, you are dissatisfied with the quality, or simply the contract is coming to an end and you need to select a new supplier. So you need to have some kind of like transition period. Okay, so contract implementation is about that period, about transition period. And from the diagram from study guide, I know that this process could have like 4 stages. First is to transition from one supplier to another. Here, then we need the current supplier to submit the data and a brief or report about the work in the progress. And then we have the startup where we define the contract terms, define the performance management, and prepare the resources for the contract. Here, it's kind of like discussed with the new supplier in the post-tender negotiation. Clear, clarify on contract term and performance, and then prepare the necessary resources for the contract. And then we can proceed with the operation where we execute the contract and follow the supplier performance, and then we can improve their performance using contract measurement approaches like measurement by objective, MBO, continuous improvement, or performance review. I remember that this kind of question has it came in March 2024 question in March 2024 exam. And as I can see from the student feedback back then, they are not sure what they were not sure what topic this question asking about. So I think that you should pay attention to this, and the study guide, however, doesn't provide very helpful information. So for this one, I also I need to consult with other sources, and then I come up with the information that you may see from my slide. Okay, so that is about contract implementation. This one is like potentially new and also pretty challenging. Another topic is contract management, and this one is not very popular, but it is still possible. So I just introduce this one to you. Okay. Uh, for contract management, then also there are two kind of questions, just like with the market analysis. First about the benefits, and second about the methods or the tool. I also believe that you know this very well. We have some ways to manage the contract. Like the most basic one is to use KPIs. And for this one, we also have a question about potential KPI that we may apply to a particular scenario. I will talk about this later. After like a few minutes after this part. And KPI is kind of like the most basic thing that you can propose when it comes to contract measurement. The second method is to use measurement by objective or SLA. Actually, service level agreement or SLA is just another way of using MBO. We always set up target and then tracking the performance, and then if the supplier reach or achieve the target, then they will be um, incentivized or rewarded. And if they don't, then they should suffer some kind of like remedy. The third way, also very common, is a regular review, where we say schedule a regular meeting and address the weak performance and listen to their recommendation or listen to their concern. Other methods could include the continuous improvement, supplier audit, and training. Okay. However, as you know, the first three methods are very common. The last three may be applied to both contract management and supplier relationship management. And as I said, when we talk about contract management, then one of the potential topic could be about suggesting or proposing the potential KPIs and SOI. For this kind of question, then normally students may struggle a little bit about this because they don't know which KPI to propose. So here I suggest two ways that you may use to brainstorm your answer. The first way, especially when you focus on operational success, then you may use the file rise as a guidance for the KPI. For the file rise, we have some criteria like right quality, right quantity, right time, and right place. So, which each of the each of these right, then we may propose different KPI. For right quality, then we may focus on the defect rate or complaint rate, or something like that. For quantity, then we may focus on info delivery on time. We have on time delivery. On price, then we may have the cost management or cost control. For quality again, then we may have the service quality or something like that, or the service requirement. Okay, so from each of the rights, then you may imagine different KPIs. The second way, although it is not used in deciding the KPI, but personally, I think that it may suggest some KPI here. You may use the 10C, the 10C model as a way to brainstorm the KPI. Okay, so 10C include a lot of criteria, like about consistency. Then we may check the defect rate or the customer satisfaction score, or about clean criteria. Then we may suggest KPI on ESG, like about the emission, about the employment, and etc. Okay, so there are some ways that you may use to brainstorm different KPI for this kind of question. Okay, I just scanning through the requests and comments and messages. Okay, I see that there are a lot of things. There are a lot of messages here. Um, Possible, I can see the question from Nahurira. Okay, doesn't mean you need that you give only currency or other points. Okay, so for the selection criteria, then you normally you need to capitalize just like 5 criteria or something like that. And I think that currency is good enough for you to brainstorm different criteria. Actually, they don't capitalize, they don't need you to list all of the 10C. And actually, 10C is just a model for the criteria. You can decide other criteria as well, depending on the specific situation. Like, as I take the example, the question about selecting the supplier for building a website, then the 10C may not be very helpful. We may need to create our own criteria. The thing here is that you need to make your answer specific and customized to the scenario. Okay, you don't need to do something like on-site visual. You don't need to find the perfect answer. Just suggesting and find some reasons for your answer. All right. Although there are a lot of messages, but not all of them are about what we are talking about. Okay. And furthermore, let's come back to the KPI question. Furthermore, with each of the KPI, then you may need to describe in a structured way, like about KPI, about the name KPI, about what it measure, why we need to collect that, and what could be the target for these KPI. Let's continue with other topics. These topics, I think that they tend to be more challenging. The first one would be about the key contract terms. Before we had the switch in 2018 syllabus. Now we have 2023 syllabus. With 2018 syllabus, the question about contract terms dominate question number two. Okay, nearly for every exam, they tend to ask about this question. Unfortunately, as I worked with many students, then they tend to perform pretty weak in this question. So what is the reason? As you know, the contract terms here, they tend to be the job of legal department, not procurement. And second, not every student taking CBTEC is from UK, and the terminology could be quite challenging or incomprehensible to them. To answer this question, then you need to describe like five express contract terms about their use, about their implication, about their application in procurement contracts. The exam tend to focus on some terms like indemnity, the exclusion of liability, liquidated damages clause, the Roman clause, termination, and arbitration. You only need to discuss five terms depending on the specific question. Normally, they may give you a list of terms that you need to explain. The thing is, not every student understand about the use of these terms. For example, I can see that a lot of students confused about indemnity and other type of liability. Indemnity is basically just some kind of promise, and you can promise anything that you want. You can promise to any level that you want. And indemnity is normally a promise to compensate when some bad thing happen, like your supplier may have some kind of like error that leads to your loss or lead to the injury of a third party, like the customer or other employees. So indemnity is normally used for risk transfer, and the use case majorly is about when we have a third party that may be harmed. So this kind of contract clause tend to be more protective toward the buyer, since they need to employ supplier and the supplier may commit some kind of like false, something like that. Uh, the second the second type of contract term is exclusion. Exclusion here is the abbreviation for exclusion of liability. So for this kind of question, then when we have some kind of extreme event like natural disaster, then the performance contract could be quite difficult, and it would be fair for each party, for every party here, to have some kind of exception, and they are not sued for um, compensation for expensive compensation. That is exclusion. The purpose of this clause is to exclude the obligor or the one with the obligation to relieve from the performance because of some extreme event, and the delivery of contract could be quite costly for both parties. The third term could be liquidated damages clause, where we need to predefine the amount damages and apply to the contract. To be effective, then this kind of estimation should be genuine. Okay. The fourth term is romanfa or retention of title. It is kind of like a security for payment, where if the uh, buyer has not paid, if the buyer has not paid, then the supplier may execute their right over the goods, and they may resell it to another buyer. So this kind of clause protect the seller more than the buyer. Uh, Another term is termination. Sometimes the performance is poor, and you want to terminate the contract early with a particular supplier. Then you need to deal with the um, consequences of termination, like performing the existing obligation or transfer the data and the documents to the new supplier. And finally, we have arbitration, which is a clause about um, conflict resolution. Arbitration is just another way to resolve the conflict, where you don't need to go to the court, and you may use the private organization for uh, resolve the for resolving the dispute. Arbitration has some advantages, like it is confidential. It may avoid the public attention, and it may provide legally binding judgment or award. However, then arbitration is pretty expensive and still require the expertise of the lawyer to debate in this kind of dispute resolution. And the final topic that I discussed today is about financial analysis. The first question that you may see here is about the risk of employing the supplier with poor finance. Then that could lead to some consequences, like they may deliver the uh, they may deliver sub quality product, like because they don't have the money to invest in their operation, so they need to downgrade their product and provide us with the under quality one. They may miss the delivery because they don't have anything left in their stock. They may ask early for cash, so that it may impact on the buyer's cash flow. They may be insolvent, and uh, in the case of insolvency, then the buyer could lose some money because the buyer may face the supply disruption or face some kind of like financial losses. And finally, suppliers with poor finance could not innovate, and that could be another downside for the buyer as well. Uh, to qualify the supplier financial position, then we may use the credit rating or use the financial ratio from the financial reports or financial statement from the supplier. And if you select the second way, you we collect we collect uh, the financial reports from multiple company, and then we need to undertake the analysis. For financial ratio analysis, then normally the exam tend to ask about current ratio, quick ratio, and gearing. For current ratio, then the formula is current assets divided by the current liabilities. This one showed the ability of supplier to meet short-term demand. If they have the current ratio greater than one, then they have pretty robust financial for upcoming project. The second ratio is quick ratio, where we remove the inventory from current assets and then divide it to the current liability. Here, then it should be the higher the better. However, then it should not be too high because too high result could lead to some such suspicion, like um, the company may not find a way to consume all their money, and they don't know how to invest the money, and that could lead to some doubt about the senior management. So for quick ratio to work, then I think that the most common range should be like from 0.7 to 1.1 to 1.1. Okay, that would be the best result for quick ratio. And finally, we have the gearing ratio, where there are some ways to calculate the gearing, like using total assets divided by total liability, or the total assets divided by the equity, or um, we have a particular formula, like taking the equity divided by the difference between the total assets and the current liability. The second formula for gearing here indicates about the long-term thinking. When we remove the current when we remove the current liability from the total assets. About the acceptable range, number range, then for gearing, if we take total assets divided by total liability, then this ratio should be greater than 1/2 than a half. It should be, sorry, it should be greater than like have like uh, than 2, because the total assets is equal to total liability plus total equity. So if the total assets divided by total liability greater than 2, it means that this company has more equity than their debt, and they can pay off their debt with ease. With the second formula, where we take the shareholder equity divided by the difference between the total assets and current liabilities, then again, it should be something like about greater than 1, something greater than 1, so that it indicates that the company here has enough money to cover their upcoming project. Yeah, but can you type the question about quick ratio? Do you want to unmute? Okay, you can unmute now.
Hi, I just wanted, it's a long question to type. So in the textbook, it says that less than 1 is fine for a quick ratio. But I just wanted to just find out what is the best way to interpret a quick ratio less than 1. Because if it's like
As I said,
0.1,
as I said, then the prime result should be like from 0.7 and more than 0.7.
okay.
Okay, less than 1. It could be less than 1, like 0.5, 0.4. That would be very concerning because less they have less assets than the liability, and that could raise the concern about their insolvency in the future.
Okay, no, I just wanted to make that clear because it's in most ratios that we've worked on, once you remove the inventory, usually it does go below. But I just wanted to know the interpretation that will be most positive that to look for.
Okay, so 0.7 would be the some ideal
The
number.
ratio. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Okay. Normally, with this kind of question, then you will have the specific number, and you need to calculate your own ratio. So just calculate it, and then we may comment on the movement or on robustness of that supplier. Nahurira, the thing is, you need to follow the requirement from the question. They ask you specifically about which ratio to calculate. So you just need to follow their instruction and requirement. You don't need to kind of like ignore or do something different. Okay, just follow the question, right? Okay, so that is the final part that I may do today. Okay, that final part about financial Russia. All right, and to support us and so that we can do more event like this, then you may go to EDME and search for our practice question. Currently, then we still have the special promotion, Lucky July 24. Okay. And furthermore, we also have the revision class on this particular module on L4M8, and it will start this later this month. So if you want to join us, and if you see them from November in November, then you may join our revision class as well. For anyone interested, then you may contact us on WhatsApp and on email. You may send you more information there. Okay, and overall, then we have finished the most important question in chapter 2. Um, and it is just about 1 hour. So, do you have any question for me? Yes. Of course, we all will have the webinar recording to your email on Monday. Okay, after this event. I need to summarize the email and the contact before I send the recording and the presentation. Okay, the current discount code is 6 July 24, sorry, for the typo. The special code here is like this. You may visit our Udemy questions, and they provide every possible question that may come in the exam. Currently we have calculated uh, about 40 questions in L4M8, so you can be assured that we try to cover every possible topic. Nambuki so asked, will there be another class before we write? Unfortunately, we fight hard to arrange another class because I have other commitment as well. So this one is the final one before the exam. Okay, but you may watch our revision video, you may watch our recording on YouTube and use our practice question. Okay, they could be helpful as well. Yeah, Kevin Mansi. Okay, so you asked a question of F1, not F8, about trade-off in public procurement. Actually, then which kind of trade-off? Trade-off of what? Trade-off of what? Okay, the question should be more specific than this. And this one is from chapter 4 of F1, not F8. So I think that I may explain it later through WhatsApp or through email. Um, Again, Anidoro, the thing is, they ask you to explain the thing that they want, not you. Okay, they don't ask you to explain any express term, but they will ask you to explain some certain express term. They will write it in the question, so you need to follow that question. Okay, you don't need to explain any other than that. Because I need to do this because you know that sometimes the question is so specific and unfortunately students have not prepared that part, so it becomes pretty difficult for them. But it is not that difficult if you know the thing, if you know where to look at. Okay. Some question may provide you with the freedom, like the question about award criteria, but other question, like the question about the express term, they just nominate the terms already. You don't need to creative. You need to be creative or something like that. You don't need to write any other any terms other than that. Okay, so just write the answer about the terms that they asked you to explain. All right, so if we don't have any further question, then I think, yeah, Bafna also struggle with the decommissioning of equipment. With the decommissioning question, then we also have the process, which is very well explained in the study guide, but I may provide some brief explanation here. The process for decommissioning start with a plan, okay, with a plan, and then we dismantle the item, and then we sort the parts, and then we dispose the parts. So it's always start with a plan. So the planning would be quite extensive. Like you need to identify the stakeholders, you need to mobilize the resources, you need to contract like a specialist supplier who may decommission and dispose the equipment. The process is only 4 stages, only consists of 4 stages. So it is not that difficult, and you can be quite confident about writing the answer. Okay, just make the plan and then um, dismantle the equipment and then sort the item and then dispose the thing that you can. Like you can sell the scrap metal and you need to handle the toxic chemical with with care, that kind of thing. So that question is not that challenging. Okay. Samuel, how likely it is to have questions that were asked immediate past in a cycle? I don't know. They come just like random. Kind of like they have a question bank, and then for each area or for each chapter, then they just pick randomly a question. So it is pretty difficult to predict, and any attempt to predict may lead to poorer performance. I need to be honest. Any attempt to try to predict the exam question tend to lead to pretty very poor performance, because when we do that, then students only focus on the question that they predict, and then they may ignore other parts. So the best way here is to familiarize yourself with different topic and embrace for any surprise question to come. And you need to prepare your skill in writing the answer. Okay, even with the questions that you don't know very detailed, but you don't know in details, but you may have like write some ideas that may give you some extra score. Okay, yeah, I also forgot that I need to discuss about exam strategy. So with the exam, then with L4M8 specifically, then I would recommend that you need to start with question number 3, because that error is very predictable, all the way about the whole like cost or something like decommissioning, the kind of like, or the hidden cost, very predictable. Only 2 or 3 topics to cover. So that part tend to be the easiest in a format exam, and you may start with that. After that, then you may come back with question number 1, 2, and 4. When you regain your confidence, when you go to your flow of writing, then everything else would be a bit easier. Um, Anijoro, hey, sorry, due to lack of time, then I don't have enough time to cover question number 3 and question number 4. Sorry about that. I can only focus on the error that most students will struggle with. Okay. I think that we may end our event here, and I hope that next week all of you will have a successful CR exam. Okay, thank you very much for joining, and enjoy the weekend before seeing you again. Okay, thank you very much, and see you later.